tried intermittent fasting for 30 days, and I went from looking like this to this. Step 1, start yourself for 30 days straight. Step 2, download Peachy, make yourself a little taller, add some abs, give yourself a cool tattoo. Step 3, post it up and tell your friends how awesome it was. I tried intermittent fasting for 30 days and I absolutely loved it. But if you're watching this video because you're doing intermittent fasting as a way to diet and lose weight, probably not the video for you. For me, it wasn't about physique, it wasn't about looking a certain way. It was really just to see if this was a great option to be healthier. Obviously, there is a lot of buzz around intermittent fasting. Is this really just another fad that we're trying to sell people on, or does it actually work? Here's the thing, I have never been good at regulating the food that I eat. Mainly is because it takes some planning and it's expensive, and I just like food. When I found out that there was a program that doesn't regulate what you eat, but it regulates when you eat, I was all for it. There's several ways to do intermittent fasting. Some people do 5 days of eating and then 2 days of full fasting. Some will do like a 16 hours a day with an 8-hour feeding schedule. I decided after a few days that the best route for me would be to do 18 hours of fasting a day and a 6-hour feeding window. And my schedule is a little bit different. Some people say it's good to skip breakfast, then you eat lunch and dinner, and then you just don't eat after dinner, wake up, skip breakfast, and then at noon you can break your fast. For me, it didn't work that way. I do believe that breakfast is an extremely important meal, and so my window was from 7 in the morning till 1 p.m. in the afternoon. It was great because I got to have a huge breakfast and I snacked all throughout the day, and then I had a decent sized lunch around noon, started my fast at 1 o'clock, and off I went. Zero. There's an app called Zero that I used for my fast. It was actually really helpful. This was my fasting schedule since January 6th. I only missed 1 day. I actually fasted 17.5 hours on that day. But you know, some days I actually went 23 hours. I don't know why. The results were pretty interesting. Day 1 was fine. I made sure to have a big lunch at noon, and I was doing just fine until about 6 p.m. And then I started getting hungry and my body's like, where's my dinner? And so I just kind of sat miserably on the couch with my wife as we watched some TV. Day 2 was a little harder. I started to realize that I only have a 6-hour window to eat, so I started eating a lot more, and I had a huge lunch just to get ready for it. I was dreading the fast a little bit. I mean, forming new habits is hard, and going from eating food to not eating food was just tough. By day 4, I started to feel it. It was like this energy flow that was coursing through my body. I felt things starting to change. Like I felt my gut starting to disappear. I felt my body starting to eat away at those fat stores. I started to feel a little bit more clarity of mind. And I started to really understand, like, hey, my body is physiologically changing. It was awesome. Day 5 through 10, I started to notice some really big changes. It was like the dirt was getting cleaned out of the cogs. I had plenty of energy during the day. I was sleeping better. I was waking up rested. I was just really loving this new me. I've been practicing Tai Chi for a couple of years now, and the whole concept is to be able to bring energy into your body and let it flow through you. And I realized that now that I had this new diet and I was putting off some of this natural desire for food, that I could get into a meditative state much faster than I could before. Like bringing energy in only took like 10 minutes rather than the 30 to 45 minutes that it took before. And this energy was like clean and it was strong, and I could just feel like my body starting to come together and work well. Day 14 was a little rough for me. I was just sitting there on the couch, and after 2 weeks I just was kind of tired of being hungry. I did a little bit more research of how to beat that feeling, and they say it's okay to have a cheat day, especially if you eat below 50 calories, so I made some buttery sweet popcorn. Day 15 through 27, things started to become a habit, which was both good and bad. Good because I could beat the hungries with relative ease, and bad because my body was adjusting to this new norm, and so the results weren't as dramatic as they were at the start. Isn't that annoying about like forming new habits or working out? You can feel the results immediately and it starts to feel really good, but over time it takes an exponential amount of energy to keep up that good feeling, to keep up that high. And I think that's when people start to taper off. They can get past the first 4 or 5 roadblocks, but when things don't feel the way that they used to, all of a sudden we kind of slip back into our old habits and we kind of lose some of that steam. My wife, Lauren, has not been a huge fan of this intermittent fasting thing. She's a marriage and family therapist, and she used to run a clinic around eating disorders, and she sees a lot of problems emotionally with this diet, and I can see that as well. I mean, if you have struggled in the past with an eating disorder, I definitely wouldn't recommend this path. I'd actually recommend intuitive eating, which is what my wife prescribes to. The idea is just listening to your body and giving it the nutrients that it needs and that it's asking for. I will say through this experience that my intuitive eating cues were much louder. Like, I would see a banana and I was like, I have to eat this banana right now. I have to eat 3 of them. Or I would see like some veggies and I would crave broccoli for the first time ever. That took a lot of planning. It was hard sometimes because I didn't plan my meal super well, and so I was just like miserable through the 18-hour fast. And so you really got to be on top of making sure your body is getting the nutrients it needs during your feeding window. There have been a few scheduling problems throughout this journey. Like, sometimes I couldn't start my fast on time because I was in the middle of a meeting, or I travel a lot for work. If I'm like speaking at a school, I just wouldn't have time to like end my fast or start my fast. And I think that that's just normal with anything that we do, that, you know, there's gonna be some scenarios that you're gonna run into that are going to be hard for you to maintain this fast. I made it. I didn't hate it. I actually really enjoyed the experience. I feel great. I feel like I have more energy than I've ever had in my entire life. I feel like I have more capacity to think. I learned to appreciate food a lot more. Like, my body actually needed this food instead of wanting this food, and so I just felt cleaner when I ate. I think the biggest benefit was spiritually, because I felt like I was very in tune during my Tai Chi sessions, and I felt very connected to the universe, if you will, and it just felt like there was this added measure of strength that wasn't there before. That's definitely not for everyone. I would definitely say, if you're gonna do it, fast responsibly, but definitely worth checking out. I'm gonna keep doing it. I feel like this is going to be a lifelong habit for me, and I feel like this is really gonna be a game changer for me physically, so I'm really excited to keep going. Thank you so much for watching. That is all I have for today. Leave me a comment below. Definitely subscribe if you haven't done so, and we'll see you guys on the next episode. Mwah!